Hello, welcome again in P for Politics by VES Treaty. And today we are going to look about, politics is all about jurisdiction. You govern to a specific place, and once you breach these borderlines, you tend to incite something we call disputes. Maybe it might lead to war. The question today is why or what are the consequences of maybe inciting or bringing a war? We had like our own. Remember that time, this particular guy, this dictator of Uganda, uh, Idi Amin, that time he came, we say that, we are taking over Kenya. What are the consequences? Why are these leaders maybe not arrested? And I'm going to give an answer to this question. We have seen for the better part after the pandemic, we went to something called the Ukraine-Russia war, because Russia decided, you know what, we are taking over Ukraine. And we saw what that had to the world in terms of economy. Remember, Russia and Ukraine are the greatest producers of what the world mostly needs. For example, Ukraine, they are the best producers of wheat. And the staple food for UK is wheat. So you can imagine the major country that produces wheat now does not have, there's no political stability. They do not have the peace of producing. Remember, in war is never good for business. And you cannot go to produce if you don't have that peace of mind. Because there was war, Ukraine, you heard that they were producers of gas. Remember Russia. Russia made this, and it was a tactic that was perfect, because Russia at that time, Russia produced a lot of things. We have gas, we have a lot of other products that Russia is leading in producing. So by these two countries entering, maybe I think they decided maybe to take over Ukraine. Why? Because maybe they saw the contribution, maybe Ukraine, if it could be part of Russia, it could bring. Remember, Ukraine was part of the greater Soviet Union. After the Soviet Union, remember, Russia wanted to dominate, wanted to have like the largest areas. Maybe remember, they are the most competitor of this particular country. Russia competes a lot with USA. They want to have the say. They have had conflicts. Why should the UNA permit USA? Why should the UN permit the USA to have the atomic bomb rights? You see, they made theirs because they could not agree. Actually, these two heads do not agree on a lot of things, because USA wants to remain with that superiority. That's why they wanted to remain with the atomic bombs, because they knew once they had those atomic bombs, then they could threat any country, that there's no country that could tell them anything. But no, Russia saw this as maybe an oppressing, or maybe as a trick to make them a lesser country or a lesser superpower. You have also seen with the current president, the dictator Kim Jong-un, was very happy actually for coming up with an atomic bomb. So does that atomic bomb have an effect on political power? Does that atomic bomb contribute to any economy? There's some things about policy that we do not understand. Should we Kenyans have our own atomic bomb? Maybe by owning an atomic bomb, can that contribute maybe to us being superior? Can that stabilize the Kenyan shillings? Can we have power? Can we negotiate? Is it all about power? Is it all about weapon? Or is it about how we are develop-wise? If you have our own atomic bomb, how will it contribute to the Kenyan stability? How will it develop to the Kenyan economy? Tutaacha kukaliwa? Should we as Africans have our own atomic bombs? Because I see that's the new trend, and we know the impacts of atomic bombs to the world. You can remember the Nagasaki and the Nagasaki and the other Japanese, the impact it had on Japanese. What did we have? Does war contribute to the economy? You can imagine like Germany. Germany has been on the front line, okay, has been the actual stimulus, the facilitator of the two world wars. But now you can remember during that one we call the VES Treaty back in the 19, where this particular guy, the most brutal dictator, this particular guy, Adolf Hitler, came say that the VES Treaty was unfair. Remember, he's the one who abolished the then United Nations. He had a name I don't remember actually. So how did Germany, Japan overcome these sanctions? How did they heal fast? What made them to be economically fit after even that war? Is it because they have good machineries? Is it because they have good armory? So is it about what you have in your military, or is it about the investors, or is it about the mines, the investors, the economy that you have? Remember, the US came to be prominent due to war. So how does war contribute to economic stability? How does war contribute to superiority? Is a question that I'm asking, because me, I don't understand. Because these countries that I've mentioned, they're not doing bad. China, it has its own atomic bomb. They are good in producing. We have now Korea. I don't think is it north or south where this particular dictator comes, Kim Jong-un. Russia, what say do they have? How does this armory contribute to the economy? Yeah. So let's get back to Russia and Ukraine. So you had everybody complaining the Russia-Ukraine has resulted to devastating state of the economy that we cannot actually produce enough. So can Putin be arrested? For me, from my classes that I've gone back in campus, I met with lecturers saying that, it's hard for Putin to be arrested. Why? Number one, remember, Russia does not have that we call the one that Pablo Escobar extradition. It cannot be extradited. Remember, even this particular one of the most wanted guy, Steven Moglevich, this guy cannot be arrested because he's in Russia, and Russia do not give a damn about the extradition responsibility or the extradition rights that US wants to give. Russia do not want anything to do with the USA. They believe they're the best. They believe that they have a say. So it's hard for, unless maybe Russia is overtaken, we have another kind of leader, of which I don't think Putin will rather die than being arrested. But can Russia be, can okay, let's say maybe he has decided to get off office. Can he be arrested? For me, I think it's no. Why? Because number one, the casualties, in war, remember, most state laws gives the limitation to the right of life, that no one should take life unless maybe it's by uh, the one that you have been you have been sentenced to death by hanging or sentenced to death by any other means. But of which the human rights have done a lot of demonstration saying that this is not fair, that they cannot accept it, that everyone has a right to live. So it rather be imprisoned life rather than having a life sentence. So the question is, can Putin be arrested? Yeah. So remember, I've said that the circumstances where under which the right to life is limited is maybe when you are sentenced to death, or maybe you are maybe you a police officer shoots someone who's trying to escape, maybe a convict, maybe someone who is not of someone who has committed a crime and does not want to surrender. The third circumstance where the right of life is limited is when you are in war, and this mostly applies to police officers. You know, for example, the Russia Ukraine war. Remember, those who are involved in the war are not civilians. They are. They are not civilians. They are people in uniform. So Putin can be arrested if he has directed execution of civilians. But if it's the fight between the Russian military and the Ukrainian military, then Putin does not have, cannot be convicted because that is provided in the constitution. So that's the conversation that I had today. Thank you, and with me. And say thank you, subscribe, share, let's be together. Have a nice day. Please share, comment, and subscribe.